These 15 games didn't just save their dying franchises, they changed gaming history forever. At number 15, we have Street Fighter 4. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. When the Street Fighter series was practically on life support, the buzz around 2D fighters had faded. Even though Street Fighter 3 was a gorgeous, hyper-technical masterpiece loved by die-hard fans, it never really hooked the casual crowd. Then boom, in 2008, Street Fighter 4 dropped like a grenade. It mixed the best of the old-school gameplay with a slick, inky 3D look, adding mechanics that were easy to pick up yet offered mad depth for pros. Arcades buzzed back to life, online play had everyone glued to their screens, and events like EVO exploded overnight. Suddenly Street Fighter wasn't just back, it reclaimed its crown. Moving on, at number 14 is Yakuza 0. Before this title hit, the Yakuza series was mostly a hidden gem, hugely popular with hardcore Sega fans in Japan, but flying way under the radar elsewhere. Then, in 2017, Yakuza 0 flipped the script. This prequel plunged players into the neon-soaked streets of 1980s Japan, immersing you in a world bursting with crime and betrayal. What set it apart was its wild blend of heart-wrenching drama and laugh-out-loud absurdity, with punchy combat, unforgettable characters that stayed with you long after you put the controller down, and a setting, Kamurocho, that felt like a living, breathing time capsule. Yakuza 0 didn't just introduce a new audience, it redefined what a crime game could be.
You have the COD free one, shoot smart.
Landing at number 13, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. By the late 2000s and 10s, Call of Duty was kind of losing its mojo. The series had jumped headfirst into futuristic antics, and while titles like Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare had their diehard fans, they never quite captured the old school vibe that made the franchise legendary. Then out of nowhere, Modern Warfare 2019 came along and completely changed the game. This wasn't just another sequel, it was a full reboot that dragged the series back to its gritty, realistic roots. Ditching the sci-fi gimmicks, it focused on raw, intense combat with a brand new engine that made every detail look next level. The visuals were jaw-dropping, the sound design so immersive you could almost feel the bullets whizzing by, and the gunplay, seriously chef's kiss, some of the best in the series. It pulled in both old-school fans and newcomers, re-establishing Call of Duty as the FPS heavyweight it's always been.
That was nothing.
Next up at number 12 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Towards the late 2010s, the Star Wars gaming scene was struggling. EA's Battlefront 2 had stumbled out of the gate with its infamous pay-to-win controversy, leaving fans desperate for a true single-player Star Wars adventure. Then Fallen Order arrived to save the day. Developed by Respawn Entertainment, the game delivered an epic, story-driven journey through the Star Wars galaxy. You step into the shoes of Cal Kestis, a young Jedi on the run from the Empire, and the game nails it. From heart-pounding lightsaber duels to expansive exploration and clever Metroidvania-style upgrades. With no microtransactions or multiplayer fluff, it offered a pure, immersive Star Wars experience that critics and fans alike hailed as a smash hit. Coming in at number 11 is Doom 2016, a game that resurrected a legendary icon. By the mid-2010s, the Doom series had pretty much vanished. Doom 3's slower, scarier vibe divided fans, and after that, the franchise nearly disappeared. With Doom 4 stuck in development limbo for years, many feared the series was finished. Then Doom 2016 hit, and honestly, it was a full-on mic drop. This game was fast, brutal, and unapologetically true to its roots. No cover, no reloading, just pure, relentless demon-slaying action. The movement was slick, the weapons devastatingly powerful, and every moment demanded you stay on the offensive. It didn't merely revive Doom, it reminded us all why FPS games are such a blast, earning praise for its breakneck pace, killer soundtrack, and deceptively deep combat. At number 10, Assassin's Creed Origins pulled the franchise back from the brink, and man was it overdue. By 2015, the series was standing on the edge of a cliff. Unity was a buggy mess, Syndicate felt like a rehash of the same old formula, and releasing a new game every year had drained the spark from the franchise. Fans were checked out, and even Ubisoft seemed to admit they'd hit a wall. Then they took a much-needed break, and thank goodness they did. When Origins landed in 2017, it wasn't just another Assassin's Creed installment. installment. It was a total reinvention. Ancient Egypt burst onto the scene as a vast, stunning playground, while fresh RPG mechanics gave players a genuine sense of progression. The combat was far more satisfying than the old counter and kill routine, and Bayek emerged as one of the most relatable, emotionally resonant protagonists in the series. Without Origins, we might never have experienced Odyssey, Valhalla, or the entire RPG evolution that followed. All right, at number 9, we've got Final Fantasy XIV, a game that executed one of the most epic comebacks ever, and trust me, it desperately needed one. When it first launched in 2010, it was a total dumpster fire, broken mechanics, a clunky UI, and frankly, zero fun. Fans were livid, critics tore it apart, and even Square Enix had to admit they'd really dropped the ball. However, they pulled a bold move by staging an in-universe apocalypse, wiping the slate clean and rebuilding the game from the ground up. When Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn dropped in 2013, it wasn't just a patch, it was a completely new game that was nothing short of phenomenal. The story grabbed you, the combat flowed as smooth as butter, and the vast amount of content made it one of the most immersive MMOs around. What began as a total flop transformed into one of Square Enix's crowning achievements. Sliding in at number 8 is God of War 2018, a game that didn't just breathe new life into the series, it completely reinvented it, and honestly, no one expected it. The old games were all about Kratos being the angriest dude alive, smashing through Greek mythology with brutal combat and epic boss fights. But by the time Ascension rolled around, it felt like the series was stuck in a loop. Still fun, but kind of predictable. Then God of War 2018 happened, and boom, Kratos wasn't just a rage machine anymore. He was a dad, a mentor, and honestly, a character with way more depth than anyone thought he had. The jump to Norse mythology was a risky move, but it worked like a charm. But what really made the game stand out was the heart of it all. The father-son story between Kratos and Atreus. Watching Kratos try to connect with his kid while wrestling with his own violent past, it hit hard. For the first time, God of War wasn't just about chaos and destruction, it was about something real, and it made you care in a way the series never had before. At number 7, we have Mortal Kombat 9, the game that single-handedly rescued the franchise, and let's be honest, it was in serious trouble. By the late 2000s, Mortal Kombat was on shaky ground, MK versus. DC Universe felt watered down, and the 3D-era games lacked consistency, making fans wonder if the series had lost its signature brutality. But in 2011, NetherRealm Studios delivered Mortal Kombat 9, and it was a game-changer. The gameplay went back to 2D-style fighting, the combat was faster and tighter, and the fatalities, oh, they were brutal. And let's not forget the story mode, which was easily one of the best in any fighting game ever. A cinematic reimagining of the first 3 games packed with drama, betrayals, and fan-favorite fighters. Mortal Kombat 9 didn't just bring the series back to life, it re-established it as a dominant force in gaming. At number 6, Hitman 2016 marked the triumphant return of Agent 47, and it felt nothing short of miraculous. After Absolution, the series had strayed from its roots, becoming too linear and story-driven, leaving fans longing for the classic Hitman experience. For a while, it even seemed like 47's future was in doubt. But then Hitman 2016 arrived, and it didn't just revive the franchise, it completely reimagined it. This wasn't just another stealth game, it was a sandbox of assassination brilliance. Each level was a sprawling playground filled with creative kill opportunities, clever disguises, and NPC routines that brought the world to life. Also, the visuals were stunning, the environments meticulously crafted, and the animations flawlessly polished. While the episodic release model sparked some debate initially, it allowed players to fully explore and master each intricately designed level. Claiming the 5th spot, Tomb Raider 2013 didn't just bring Lara Croft back, it totally rebooted her. And to be fair, she desperately needed it. By the late 2000s, the series felt like it was stuck in the past, with clunky controls, outdated mechanics, and stories that just didn't hit like they used to. It was like Lara had been left behind while the rest of gaming moved on. But then 2013 rolled around and Crystal Dynamics hit the reset button hard. The new Tomb Raider was bigger, bolder, and way more intense. For the first time, Lara wasn't just raiding tombs, she was learning, adapting, and surviving in a brutal, unforgiving world. This wasn't the untouchable, superhuman Lara of old. Instead, she was raw, vulnerable, and actually had to fight tooth and nail to survive. And the game itself, absolutely stunning. The graphics were next level for the time, with crazy detailed environments, realistic weather, and cinematic action moments that felt like you were playing a blockbuster movie. At 4th place is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, a game that didn't just reinvent Zelda, it revolutionized the entire open-world genre. Up until the mid-2010s, Zelda was still a beloved franchise, but it had begun to feel a bit predictable. The formula was familiar: explore dungeons, collect items, solve puzzles, and repeat. But when Breath of the Wild launched in 2017, it shattered expectations. Hyrule transformed from a static map into a sprawling, dynamic world where every mountain was climbable, every secret discoverable, and every challenge open to your creativity. The freedom was unparalleled. Whether you wanted to charge headfirst into battle or sneak around enemies, the choice was yours. The cel-shaded watercolor art style was enchanting, with sunlight dancing on grass, rain making cliffs treacherous, and wind swaying trees, all adding to a world that felt more alive than ever. Coming in at number 3, we've got Fallout New Vegas, the game that took what Fallout 3 built and turned it into something straight up legendary. Now, let's be honest, it didn't exactly wow anyone at first glance. The graphics were pretty rough, even for 2010, and the gameplay still had that janky Bethesda feel, but somehow, against all odds, New Vegas became one of the most beloved RPGs ever. Why? Because it had soul. While Fallout 3 gave us a huge wasteland to wander, New Vegas gave us choices that actually felt like they mattered. And oh man, the writing... Obsidian knocked it out of the park. Characters like Mr. House, Benny, and Yes Man weren't just memorable, they felt real with their own agendas and personalities that made the world come alive. Plus the DLCs, absolute bangers diving deeper into the lore and adding layers Fallout 3 never touched. New Vegas wasn't just a game, it was an experience, and it's still a fan favorite for a reason. At second number is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This game didn't just say Resident Evil, it basically resurrected the entire survival horror genre. Not gonna lie, by the mid-2000s and 10s, Resident Evil was in rough shape. The franchise was on the edge of becoming irrelevant, and Capcom needed a miracle. Then came Resident Evil 7. Shifting to a first-person perspective was a daring gamble, but it turned out to be a masterstroke. A creepy, photorealistic world built on the RE engine, absolutely jaw-dropping. No more ridiculous explosions or endless gunfights. This was Resident Evil, going back to its roots. Limited ammo, a suffocating atmosphere, and that constant gnawing dread as you explored the Baker family's nightmare house. The story shook things up too. Instead of playing as a super soldier, you were just Ethan Winters, an average guy thrown into a living hell. No fancy weapons, no backup, just you, a handful of bullets, and the terrifying feeling that something was always lurking.
It's I like! Stick! Yeah!
Taking the top spot is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This game didn't just raise the bar for RPGs, it launched it into another stratosphere. The first 2 Witcher games were good, don't get me wrong, but The Witcher 3, it was in a league of its own. Geralt wasn't just some gruff monster hunter anymore. He became this deeply layered character with a story that hits you right in the feels, and every choice you made actually mattered. The open world was huge, but it wasn't just big for the sake of it, it felt alive. Every village had its secrets, every forest had its mysteries, and even the smallest side quests had more depth, but the real magic of The Witcher 3 was its storytelling. The characters felt real, the choices carried weight, and the emotional stakes were through the roof. Geralt's journey to find Ciri wasn't just a quest, it was about his growth, his relationships, and the cost of the life he'd chosen. By the time you finished, you didn't just play the game, you felt it, like it was a part of you.